Why, hello. We are live. We are live. We are live.
Yes, we are. You look
Hey,
beautiful.
everybody. I'm like trying to get this. I'm like, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? What are we doing? Okay, so hey, welcome to Into the Core podcast. My name is Linda Marithi. Of course, I'm your host. I'm so excited to be. Today is just a beautiful day. Today, it may be raining outside, but it's sunshine everywhere else. I have a brilliant and beautiful guest. Before I introduce her, I must do due diligence, which means we must play the into the core intro. So before I introduce my guest, don't go anywhere. This is mad cool. Into the core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa and beyond. Things in Africa and beyond. All good things in Africa and beyond. That's for
I
sure.
love it.
That's for D sure. So I want to say, first of all, thank you to Trademark Hotel at the Village Market for hosting me today for this beautiful environment. I really love it. I feel very at home. I feel very relaxed, actually. So here I am. I'm like trying to move places and faces. But today we are joined by somebody oh so beautiful, somebody who is very near and dear to my heart, and someone who I met when I was hosting the jazz show at Capital FM with Mr. Aaron Rimbui. So shout out to Aaron Rimbui. And I remember Aaron calling me and saying, hey, so there's this jazz musician who's coming in from the States. Her and her husband are musicians. And I'm not going to make it in tonight, but you need to host them. And I got so vexed because I was like, why are you leaving me alone? Why am I doing this on my own? And I just remember feeling all sorts of like angst because I didn't know what I was what I was coming into.
Yeah.
And then in walks the lovely who is seated right there, right there. Miss Wangari Fahari. I'm so excited because I met Wangari and her husband, Paul, and they were absolutely stunning, amazing. Just, okay, to amplify what a beautiful guest was, that was you that day. And the truth is, right after we were done with the show, we went out for dinner, we had drinks, and that was it. And the rest is history. We have forged a friendship for life, and I'm just entirely grateful. So, Wangari, welcome to Into the Core.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your show. I love everything that you represent. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, my love. I'm super excited that you're here. I know that you're working on so much stuff. So let's first start by talking about your journey in music. How did you get into the journey of jazz music and having this beautiful sultry voice? I'm always so in awe of how effortless you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I think the easiest way for me to say this would be my journey compromised. I learned that I had to get on stage and I had to do this. And I had to learn from my mistakes. I had to fall and stand up. But I would credit most of that journey to my understanding of the history of music. When I started really understanding spirituals and getting into the original beginning of like African music, I realized that jazz was the closest thing to who I was. So it really attracted me because it was very close to African music, very close to spirituals, things that are very close to my heart. So I fell in really well as a storyteller because I was not just like a performer singer. I wanted to share stories. That's kind of what stories of struggle, stories that we see every day. So that's how I got into the jazz. And of course, like most jazz singers, some of us are trained, some of us are not trained. I wasn't trained, but I had to kind of seek out my own teachers and mentors. So it's been kind of a journey of trial and error and stage time and kind of understanding who I am and the story of music.
And okay, so that said, who are some of who are some of the people who influence your work?
So I would say the beginning, I loved anything to do, I'd say with Miriam Makeba, Angelique Kidjo. So when I was young, because these are the songs that I heard growing up. And then as I grew older, I got into some pop. And I won't say that anybody really impacted me as much until I got into high school. And I'd say Miriam Makeba was the first artist that really inspired me.
Okay. So Mama Africa was definitely one of your people who influenced you. Let's talk about the journey when you first got into the States and what that was like. You were into pop first before you were into jazz?
Don't get me started. Yes. So after I left Nairobi, I was coined Kita. That was the name that people called me. QIT. So if you were to talk to like the Nairobi musicians that know me, so like Harbor Records, Mox, Nameless, all the people that I went by Kita, and I spent a lot of time in the pop world because you remember like growing up how the newspaper would have lyrics to the new pop songs, and we would all it and learn it, and so even though we were not aware, we were somewhat training our ears and our vocals to kind of to be attracted to this kind of music. So when I first wrote my first song, naturally, pop music was what I was drawn to. So yeah, that was like a really cool part of my life. And I usually say without that part of my life, I wouldn't be as refined. I had to try different genres. And my pop phase, I would say, was all about exploring my sexuality and boys and talking about breakups, kind of like a Taylor Swift thing. And then I felt I wanted to grow out of that. So I couldn't continue to do pop music, but I loved it. I still love it till today. And I'm somewhat influenced by it still.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I remember my moment where I knew that we were going to be friends was when I decided to ask you to go live on air with your husband to sing something. And in my head, I was really not prepared for you. I was not prepared for your voice. And I was like, who sent this woman? You have a Sade-esque oh my gosh. Like honestly, like the spice in it and the sultriness and the honesty that you sing from and the heart that you give when you're in your moment and your element just completely blew me away. And I remember the next weekend you were doing something at Choices. So big shout out to what's his name?
Abdi Rashid.
Yes, Rashid. Oh my gosh. So shout out to Rashid because he really created a movement. And I remember then watching you again and just being completely blown away. And I was like, I can't believe we're gonna be friends for life. That's it. I'm attaching myself to her. I don't care what she says. I'm just gonna be the groupie rolling around. Tell me about like post right after you've done your pop-esque type of music. Then what happens? Who do you meet? What's the journey like following into who Wangari is now?
So Wow. So Wangari leaves Kenya, comes to the US, lives in Boston, decides to drop out of college and pursue music full time, begins to
Yeah.
write music, begins to look for investors. I feel like I've been doing it my whole life. I really wanted to do my music, and I was so young. I didn't have money. So I finally found an investor, and I actually produced my first album, Kita. It was self-titled. And I featured Mighty Mystic, who is a top reggae, like Jamaican dancehall kind of like singer. And he did well, actually, in Boston. So I would say like about 10 years ago when I landed here, the pop industry was just kind of beginning to take off. We didn't have like the Rihanna's yet. We didn't have the Justin Timberlakes. They're all kind of like beginning to like come out. So I remember like Boston 94.5 then was not a big deal for you to get a DJ to play your song. Now it's absolutely impossible. But then we were able to like convince DJs like DJ Millionaire and like specific DJs to take some of the tracks. So that kind of led me to meeting some really interesting African American producers in the R&B and like hip hop industry, which led me to opening for some really cool people like Neo and Justin Timberlake at
Wait. I didn't even know this about you. See, this is the problem with having Into the Core. I'm always just like, okay, I know it's called Into the Core, but so you open for Neo and for Justin Timberlake?
Yes. I
And
opened
that,
in Worcester, Massachusetts, and Justin Timberlake at Club Avalon in Boston.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I love the Avalon. I remember that.
Yeah, right after that, they both blew up. And I was just like, what?
And you're like, I was part of that journey. Yeah, I made them blow up, of course. Yeah,
like
I opened up for that.
with like Justin Timberlake came out, like nobody really like knew much about him, so he was like playing clubs and not like large venues yet. So they would get all the upcoming pop singers in the Boston area to like open for some of those names, which was really cool because I got to club really early and do all those fun things. And then after that, actually, I got a East Coast tour with Jules Production, and I also collaborated with DJ Banti, who was a club promoter. You know him?
DJ Bansi, I love him. Yeah, he's dope.
Okay, so he was like my first bookie.
DC.
He was all my tour. Yeah. So that's how I started. So I played like Maryland, like New York Street, like really heavy, like African American clubs, like where I'd like show up on set and like people were right at the front of the stage, like ready for you to bring it all, boo you off the stage. So I started like on a really like aggressive. I had to really be strong. I was young. I was right off the airplane. And I learned really quick what the industry wanted from me.
What did the industry want from you then? I mean, like, was it a hot and heavy scene? You know, I'm going to ask a really bad question, but was there moments where you just felt like, oh my gosh, as a woman in this industry, like if I don't wear, like I need to,
Yes.
you know.
So that is it. Like in the music industry, like I've learned there's two ways you can do your art. You can either be kind of like, what is it called? Kind of competing through your sexuality, or you can compete through art. So as a kid, I was competing mostly through my sexuality. So the music didn't need to necessarily be that good. I knew if I get on stage with like a sexy outfit, I'm 20, I'm 21, I'm gonna get through the night. So I realized at that point that people didn't want me to be smart. They didn't want me to have an opinion. They wanted me to look good. And they wanted me to not even necessarily sing the song. They would play the background, you're pretending you're singing. So there's a lot of things that I was like, oh, I was hoping for a little more expression. But I realized it's pop industry is also just mostly business sometimes. So I wanted a little more life. Yeah.
And you know what? It's such a beautiful thing that you actually had to go through that at an earlier stage and figure it out for yourself, being a very male-dominated, very aggressive platform, and then understand, wait a second, this actually is not me. I need to redirect and, reconfigure, rebrand, and understand and love who is here and happening. So after post DC and DJ Banti, I love you, DJ Banti. But post that, then what happens?
So after that tour, I remember coming back home to Boston and being invited to New York, starting to get deeper into that world. And I remember that's when I had to make that decision if I wanted to go down that road or go the opposite way. So what I did is I actually canceled all my shows and I took a break. So I moved back with my mom and I took a complete break. And that's when I remember going out with my mom for dinner at this really classy Italian restaurant. And there was this amazing jazz pianist. And then at the halftime of his set, he would walk around and talk to the what do you call them when they're eating?
He talk to his customers, or he would talk to them. Oh, that's right.
And he came by my table, and I was like, I love the way you play piano, but I loved music. So I think he was just enchanted by this African girl who's just like, because he's playing at an Italian restaurant. Most people are like, get away from me, Yeah. So he said, actually, my name is Neil Martin, and I'm the president of the New Hampshire Jazz Society. Why don't you come over and see what we do? And that's how I got my first scholarship. So when he was like, you are a storyteller. So I didn't even know about that. I knew that I wasn't happy in the pop industry, but I didn't know about the jazz industry that it existed. If you think about growing up in Kenya in the 90s, we didn't have John Coltrane in the radio. We didn't have Ella in the radio. So we had to, either you had to have parents that had those records, or you had to be taught in school or somewhere. So for me, this was my first time.
And this is interesting because a lot of what Capital FM was doing at some point was really breaking down that jazz is not a classist. It's not for the elite. Jazz is for anybody and everybody. And I'm so happy, and I really have to, put one hand somewhere in my heart because of what Bob Collymore did, giving ghetto classics and getting jazz even more amplified in Nairobi. And you know what I mean? Like, rest his soul. But he really changed the dynamics in the sense of like really bringing jazz to the forefront. I remember thinking about Liz, who does classical music, and she did her concert, and I was just like, wow, blown away. So yeah, I hear you, in terms of either your parents had it or they didn't have it, but it wasn't that much in the forefront. And then now, we are lovers of music. We're a village now.
That's why when I found jazz, I felt so robbed because as a Kenyan, I felt that I skipped spirituals. I skipped the blues. I skipped jazz. I skipped the blues. I skipped the 60s. I skipped 70s, 80s. Like, we went straight into like our parents' disco and then into hip hop. So we music, but we didn't even know what was out there. So coming to the US for me was like a buffet of lifetime because I learned about Jimi Hendrix, and I was just the first. I think
eating it up.
Yeah, it's taken me 13 years to actually formulate Fahari Records because at first I was like, I don't want to have an identity yet because I just found out all these things that I love, and now I'm confused about if I don't want to just sing with percussions from Africa. I want a guitar. I want a piano. What is that thing, So that's me. Like, I don't stop. I just wanted to learn flamenco. I want to get to bolero. I just never stop. And I think that is what we are saying. Like, music is not just for a certain class or a certain culture. You can be listening to Latino music and you're Italian. Like, I really love that about music. And I wanted to keep growing in every way possible.
You know, I'm so proud of you. I mean, like, just understanding that no matter what happens, you always want to feed off, learn more, access more. Let's talk about some of the musicians that you've worked with. I want to talk about a moment that I know that you've gone through, like when you went to the LA scene and the people that you were speaking with, you know, walking into a room and the table is filled with boom, 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 boom. It's called being at the right place at the right time. And also meeting somebody who's so loving and prolific in both our lives. Wamahu, you know. So you're in LA. So talk to me about that moment. You're in LA. Oh, we keep saying don't touch your nose.
My LA journey starts in Santa Cruz.
Okay.
So Boston to Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz we produced Wangari Volume 1. And then we met Gabriel Harris, who was the master percussionist for Rhythm Village, but also the son of John Baez, who is a very respected musician here, activist. And then working with Joan Baez and Gabriel Harris, I met producer Alan Abrahams. And that's how I ended up in LA, because the producer coming from San Francisco, I had to drive to Los Angeles for the first time in my life. And I went into this huge mansion in Agora Hills. And I'm like, this is amazing. And so that was the beginning of that. And I remember him saying, I want you to meet people. So let's organize a little concert, something really laid back. We don't want them to think we kind of like put it together. And let me invite them. Yes. So when that happened, the promoter I had called Wamohu in LA. He was like, the person who can do something like that really nice and quick is a girl I know called Wamohu. So Wamohu organized this at an Ethiopian restaurant. It was really cute, and she with some friends. My producer was there. My teacher, my vocal teacher is Maxine Lewis. She's like Chaka Khan. She's like huge, great teacher and singer. So they were all there. So I would say like that was the beginning of now my LA journey. So I had to move to LA after that. After meeting Wamohu, I was like so hooked on the Kenyan scene in LA. It was popping then. It was like, okay, we were 4, but we were popping. And
of course.
We were like taking over LA. I think there was Wangari and Wamohu and Wawera and Nasambu. So Nasambu and Mala. So we all kind of even created an intentional community together, and we like developed. So right after that, that's when I branched more out of the Kenyan scene, and I started getting more into the gospel scene. I met Remy Kabaka, who's a Nigerian master percussion player, that then I was able to meet Steve Winwood. And that just brought me into this legendary world of Ricky Lee Jones and just amazing people. And that taught me a lot. I would say the coolest thing about my journey meeting celebrities and businessmen that are very successful is I always asked questions. I was not starstruck. I wanted to know, because I met them and I'm like, oh, she's wearing sneakers and she's a real. Well, how did you do it as a woman? How did you do it? So when I met like Ricky Lee Jones, I wanted to know, because she won so many awards, and she was in an industry then with like Nirvana, which was like a boy band, and she was doing really well. Because I think being a woman and a businesswoman and then a singer is really difficult. Because people don't think the singers are businesswomen. Yeah. So how do you make money? Okay. So but which is the truth. I mean, like we feel so shy to ask the real questions. How do you make money? What are you doing?
you know, and also right place, right time, and all that great stuff. So hey,
Yeah. So, so are you asking that as a question?
no, I'm just saying, hey, I'm just contributing and basically just tagging on and holding on to that because I'm just like, yeah, we
Yeah.
don't ask enough questions. We don't ask. So how are you making your money? How are you doing this? How are you continuing in this business space? So, baby girl, like, look at you. Ase.
So
Ase.
I think I'm like, I'd say me being a singer is like any other business. I tell the people that I meet, I wish I knew that when I was stepping right out of high school, because that's when I would have opened my company. But instead, I
Yeah.
focused on myself as a singer, not as a brand, not as a company, not as somebody that should be protected. So it was very vulnerable because I did not have, I was not a corporation. I was just this girl. Um, so my journey so far has been, how do I establish a company that then is sustainable, has impact, then also has revenue? So that's when, as a singer, you have to diversify, because if you don't have a concert today, you have to have a company that then you can diversify, whether it's publishing, whether it's endorsement, whether it's even talks, meeting with people, and figuring out how you can be supported in the community. So that's kind of how you meet people and network, and then from that you start creating revenue. Just like any other business, if you open a cafe, you don't know anyone. You have to develop your value and your reputation. And so I'd say like that's what I've been doing. So I've barely been sustaining, I've been building. But I feel like now we are scaling. Fahari Records is scaling, and we're going into like a supercharge, because as I mentioned earlier, it's taken me a while to figure out like what is my identity, what is my vision, what is my intention. And after a while, I say my identity. I want to be an artist that is authentic to who I am, an artist that cares about community and a social entrepreneur, making sure like my music is benefiting the women in the industry, especially. So I'm really drawn to that, and that's why I wanted to be not just a singer, but my music is the basis of all my other businesses that I am.
Okay. So, if everybody can hear us, okay, because I know I feel like we keep going in and out a little bit. But if we're good, just let us know. Comment below. Just let us know that you can hear us. So here's the other thing. So let's talk about Fahari Records,
Yeah.
because that is such a platform. You've met these people. Now you're in a space where you're understanding. There's something that we spoke about earlier, and I want you to just talk about it just a little bit. You mentioned that forgiveness and healing is a bigger part and a bigger platform when it comes to you right now as Wangari, and the new stepping stone, it's like a new rebrand space, and
Yeah.
what that really looks like and why it's so beautiful.
Okay, so this is something I'm just going to come out and say because there's no sugarcoating. I'm a black female that was raised in Kenya with a single mother. I've seen it all. I've been through
Yeah.
so much from all kinds of backgrounds. We've all heard about Me Too movements. We've heard about Black Lives Matter. We've heard about these different struggles. I don't think they just affect the people in the US. I think they affect everybody in the world. And I feel like Black female actresses and Black female singers are really preyed upon because we usually come from backgrounds where our parents are not really educated about the industry we're going in. So the people that are in that industry know that we're vulnerable. So I had to go through a lot of forgiveness in order to actually begin to create in a beautiful way, because I had to stop being afraid of rejection. One, I had to stop being afraid of how men will see me, because I can't control that, but I can control what I do how I perceive myself. I can't control the rest. So the first step I took to make myself happy was I had to accept that the journey I had had as a singer was not fair. And I didn't deserve all the pain. But because I was an immigrant, I was sucking it up and being like, oh, I'm so privileged to be working with like Capitol Records. So yes, my agent is treating me this way, or touching me this way, or doing this. I'm just going to keep quiet because I'm going to get a record deal and I can take care of my family and back in Africa. And so I had to get out of that mentality and start saying, you know what, you're in my level. I have this art, but again, I couldn't get there without the stage time. So I had to go those struggle to get there. So I would not have it any other way. So the beauty of that whole thing is I learned at the end of it, I didn't deserve it. I forgive everything and everybody that took advantage of what they did. And also I'm bringing healing into my life. And I want to then take that and make art that brings love and joy, not art that is just angry and dysfunctional. I wanted to do something beautiful and transcend, and then inspire the other people that are going through maybe what I went through. Because we are all going through that, whether you're opening a bakery or you're a singer. As a woman, walking into some of these banks, putting your proposal, like the looks we get, the reactions, and who is behind this? Is there a man behind this? Like I had to be brave and feel all that and be like, and say, I can't change that, but I have to change my narrative. And that's why I think healing, forgiveness is very important to my creativity. I'm not saying that if you're not forgiving and you're not healing, that you're not creative. I'm just saying that for me, I felt that that's what helped me become completely open and free, and then be able to give my audience work now that they can say, oh, wow, we're seeing growth in you spiritually, not just like this is the Fahari we heard 4 years ago. We're seeing growth and we are seeing what you're doing. And the goal is to inspire them and Black female entrepreneurs as well. Also, I want to add one thing. I talked to David Moretti about some of the work he's doing at mentoring people in the music business industry. And I really like the fact that he addressed some of these things that we're talking about here, especially in the Kenyan industry, because it's so bad right now. I love my country. I love us so much, but we have to treat our Black female singers as goddesses and love them and take care of them. Not make them do things that are not going to necessarily better their career, but make that person feel better, not really investing in the singer. So I'm hoping that the record labels that are in Nairobi can invest more in female artists and female-owned Black businesses without the corruption and the other attachments. So that's something that as Fahari Records that we would like to invest in terms of raising awareness and encouraging labels to be more conscious.
No, I think that's really important, and a huge kudos to David Moretti, because he does a lot. I mean, I feel like these people who work hard behind the scenes in the industry, and I'm proud of what he has been doing and the mentorship that he has and the encouragement to the industry and to the young up and coming artists that he has given. One of the things that I really want to now chat with you about is Fahari Records has now come up.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I mean, it's morning for you, darling. Trademark, thank you so much. Trademark has really hosted me, and they've given me the mostest. But I really want to talk about this new space. You've spoken about the record industry. Let's talk about now going forward. What is Wangari working on? And who are you working with?
So So the best way to say this would be after LA, I moved back to Kenya and met you. Then from Kenya, I came back to Boston.
Yeah.
So when I came back to Boston, I had been in the industry, music industry for a while, and I was starting to kind of get into my late 20s. And I remember thinking, all right, if I sign a contract right now, I'm not going to have a family. So I took a little break there. And after I have 2 beautiful girls that I love so much. And after having my 2 girls, I remember sitting in the living room and thinking to myself, I'm losing myself. I need to heal. I need to remember my purpose. I love my girls. I need to be the best version of myself for them. And that's when I remember picking up the phone and calling a gentleman that I had met. His name is Zach Holmes. He was part of the African Gallery of Art in Central Massachusetts, and also founded Crocodile River Music, and being like, I need to do something. And he was like, oh, we thought you may never call, because they thought, oh, she's from LA, she's in Boston. No, she's a big girl. She would never like visit us or something. I'm like, no, I really need you. You don't even understand. So we connected through that. And that's when I met a very amazing gentleman. His name is Bala Kuyate. And I fell in love with Malian music. I started really digging deep into Senegalese and Malian music and Cape Verde music. That part of Africa that I felt that I was missing. Again, the journey of music never ends. There's so much music out there.
Of course, yeah.
And Bala Kuyate and I ended up working for about 5-6 years together with Zach Holmes and other musicians. And within that time, I also worked with Bakithi Kumalo. I worked with like other African artists. But it's not until 2020 that I met with Bala Kuyate about the possibility of a cross-cultural album. And the great news is Bala Kuyate just won like the National Endowment Award, which is like the highest ranking award that a folk artist can get. And he's the first African to get it. So, yeah, so I was like, Bala, you are doing it. Like, you are doing the impossible. And so I was really inspired by him because he didn't have to change who he was, and he was representing his people. So as a Kenyan, I'm very interested in how Malians have been able to bring their music into the world and have people accept them. Like, what was that? So I started talking with Bala Kuyate. I spoke with like CD Maiga. He's like the guy behind like Umu Sandare. I started talking with like Alex Boisel. So people that were in Alex Boisel, his father is like behind the Montreal Jazz Festival. He's Africa Mondo. So those are the people that I started like reaching out to, not help me, but how are you doing this? What is this? And why isn't Kenya there? How come it's just, I see Mali and then I see South Africa, like, and then they say, Kenyans don't have music.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So when I really had to like wake up and found Fahari Records, do an entire album in Swahili, I was like, time to put our flag post on the world music industry. So when I started this, my goal was to raise awareness about the Swahili-speaking people, say that our culture matters, that we can compete in a global market, that we can win a Grammy, that we can have the best fashion designers, that we can have really amazing videographers, and stylists, and it was that's what I wanted to do. So there was like a bit of like a rebellion in the founding of Fahari Records, because I love it. I wanted to be like, you know what, we do have something in Kenya, and I'm gonna show you. So they advised me and they said, okay, so if you want to do this, you got to bring it. So you need a band, you need this, you need that. I was like, okay, I'm getting into it. So that's what I'm doing now. And I've been working with Bala Kuyate. We are working on Syria Diani, which is an album that is inspired by the south coast of Kenya because it's the most beautiful place in the world. And I was like, you guys don't know how beautiful the country is. So Syria Diani felt like the perfect introduction to Swahili culture and the beauty of the Swahili people and the beauty of Kenya and who we really are. So that is what I'm working on right now. And Syria Diani got some traction recently. I'm collaborating with Aaron Rimbui. I'm collaborating with Chano Kamara. I collaborated with Mighty Mystic. Collaborating with
Africa.
oh my god, so many people.
Apology.
Yeah. The cherry on top is I think the name that we are all waiting for, I think, is Sydney Mills.
Hey.
So that is the name we are waiting for. And so that's where the project is now. So the project just got picked up and will be post-production will be done by Sydney Mills, who's a 4-time like Grammy nominee, the guy behind Steel Pulse, Queen Latifah, KRS-One. He's got like a really amazing sound. So we are taking Syria Diani to the next level and setting it up. Yeah.
Died and went to heaven. I'm just like, when you say KRS-One, I'm just like, who knows? I mean, we're like, hey, Queen Latifah. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm so excited. You know what I mean? And then now we're adding the vibe. Hey, Wangari. Hey.
Yeah.
I'm so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna ask you to do something really off the cuff, but I don't know if you want to do it. Do you want to give us a teaser? Just a little bit. Like my son, like, you know, DJ loves you, and he's just over there, and he's like, just a little bit. We just want to hear, just a wee bit.
You didn't just use that sweet DJ on me.
I totally used my son because you know how much he loves you. So please.
Okay. How about I say hello? Salamu zikufikie kama mchanga wa bahari, nimesafiri mama, nina raha kuwa nyumbani Nairobi, mama.
Oh my gosh.
Nakupenda sana. Just something like that. I love what
Did you just give me tears to my eyes? I'm just like, come on now, Linda. Who gave you red wine? Surely trademark. Who does this? You know what I'm saying? Emotions are rising. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Okay, wait a second. So, okay, this is cool. I'm glad it ended up on my timeline, Linda. Yay, David. Hey, Mr. Njuki, how are you? We miss you. Okay, wait. And you're right, Wamuhu. It's this woman is just, she's like blessings all over again. Okay, so let's do this. You know which song I really love? Like, I love how you sing it, and that's why I called you the Raven. Can you just give me like a snippet of the Raven?
You see, this is why friends should not be hosted.
I feel like this is like a private concert. Don't tag people. Don't. This is like ours. This is for us.
So you want to be my red little bird?
Yes, I love you so much, Wangari. When we met, I was just like, forever. I'm attaching myself to you. I don't care. Groupie for life. That's me. Like in my 80s, I'll just be like, where is she playing at? And I will be there. Like heart, like with a rock star written, like he represented KRS-One, like stupidity. That would be me. Like the madness behind it. I'm behind you 100%. So just like a wee bit of Raven.
Okay. Just a little bit. I'm a window pane. Whistle to my ear, a feather and tail. All the girls run free in the park, walk walking down Central Square, sensuously but silently, waving from heaven, take my breath away. We're still to
Oh,
that one. It's still
heaven.
not out there, but we'll put it out.
Heaven. Heaven. So,
I believe I'm singing.
so part of a little bit of the movement is just to make sure that when you are coming out with this beautiful album, Syria Diani, is that there's a representation of Africa, like you said, working with designers and everything. Wherever we're collaborating, I'm definitely jumping in. And one of the people who I'm wearing Utikadi is sorry, for those people who are like, I've seen you wearing that. Yes, I've repeated. Agaria.
I love it.
I've repeated.
I want
I
that for
repeated.
fall season.
But I repeat it because his brand is just so beautiful. These guys who I really like, I dig him. Like I dig him. He's dope. And I think that that's definitely one of the brands that I would love to see you in one of your music videos. There's brands out there. I think, anyway, sidebars, manenos. But the reason why I'm saying Itikadi is I'm down for this homie. I'm down for Peggy Onyango. Oh my gosh. Peggy O is like knee deep in it to win it. I feel like a Patricia Mbella-esque type of something needs to happen. Repping community.
That's what I love about working with you is I both understand the platform that we are on and the need to overload it with all things as much as possible. Because when we start having these platforms, then we tend to promote outside of ourselves. So the ability for us to tap into Nairobi and for Nairobi designers to rise to these kinds of occasions is that it starts planting seeds in upcoming entrepreneurs to start looking into Kenyan fashion designers, because they're also starting to compete within that level of, we're going to put our work out there in this other way, not just at the store, and also get globally and that kind of stuff. So I really like that, because a lot of people feel like when we first met, and be very honest and give you the credit, when I started going into New York, a lot of the people I was meeting were trying to put like designers like Balmain, or be like, oh, Fendi, or let's call like, I don't know, like, and that's kind of what I was going to do. I was going to, because I didn't have awareness of this amazing fashion designers like Idikadi.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to Idikadi for your work. I really love that you put him here so people can see how beautiful his pieces are. And the logo, wow, I want that logo. And,
you know what? There's definitely something that you need to chime into, even for 2 hot seconds.
yes.
We almost forgot it, and I don't know why. And I'm just going to throw us both under a very big bus. I don't know if it's a train, a plane, an automobile, but Wamahu has got to do something too.
Yeah. Fashion wise, what do you think?
She's styling and profiling. I mean, like, all the accessories that she has and all that great stuff. I know, Wamahu, I'm really sorry.
Oh my goodness, girl.
I know. You see what I'm saying? I'm just like,
girl, you're in Mombasa. I should be like having you taking shots down there. Mom's
David, I feel like Wamahu is a different vibe. I feel like she's like like how you said, it's like a fierce movement. And you're fierce, come on now.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just like, let's just jump on that party wagon right there.
Wamahu was such a big part of my life in LA.
Listen, Wamahu has just said something. And by the way, Wamahu's got something really beautiful happening in Lamu. So she's actually just posted and she said, I want you to come and play at my space in Lamu. Because, she's building in Lamu.
Yes. I'm really excited, and it's very creative, like based. And like she's tapping into the artist and really supporting the community, and that's something that we love at Fahari. And like I was thinking about that, like that would be maybe some way that we could collaborate. And
Oh, for sure.
I would love that. Yeah.
Oh, look at her. She's like, oh, and I will style you anytime, Wangari.
I know, like Lenny Kravitz. I want to join that list, girl.
Shoot, you know what I'm saying? Even me, I'm like, what? Hi, hello, Wamahu. Call, reaching out to Wamahu. Hello.
I know.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so we're getting into our 10-minute mark. Let us talk about what you want to say to every single person who is new to Wangari, who is new to your music platform, and what to expect from Syria Diani as well as Fahari Records for up-and-coming artists.
Up-and-coming artists.
Yeah.
I'd say for those who haven't met me yet,
wait. Muniti, hello, my Ethiopian sister. I miss you so much. Munit, you need to do a collaboration with Munit. Oh my gosh, you guys are a vibe. Munit, I'm here. I'm introducing you guys immediately. She's like you. Shit. I'm done. Like mic drop, but please carry on. I'm so sorry I cut you off. But yeah.
I love you. And I love you, Manit, because she loves you. That's all I need to know. I haven't seen you get that excited.
I know.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So as Wangari, like for those who don't know me, I'm a lover of all things Kenyan. I love my language. I love my continent. I am very protective of my continent because as a mother, I believe that we must, and as women, we must protect those things that we love. I love nature and I love trees. So every time that I can, I try to donate to like Green Belt movement. I try to donate to causes that are helping advance my continent. I try to do as much as I can, even if it's not profitable to me. So as long that it's allowing us to grow as a continent. What I would like to say to upcoming artists is be authentic. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're going after like venture capitalists or like bankers, investors, always try to compete with people and treat them like you're in the same level as them. Try not to be like, oh, I'm so meek, I need a producer. No, you're a great talent. Even if you are not there yet, you are going to be there at some point. So approach your producers, approach your beat makers, approach your managers with confidence and protect yourself. Also, last thing I'd like to say, protect your name. So don't use the name that you were born with. Choose a name that you can then brand and copyright that. So no matter who you work with, they cannot take your name. You cannot have like a Tina Turner moment. I feel like that's one part that as singers, we don't tell each other enough that we need to protect our name. So if you choose a name, make sure that it belongs to you 100%, and that's so that you can keep your brand for a longer time. And also help give and forgive and give and tithe. That's one of my things. Always tithe. Whatever you make 10% doesn't belong to you. That is the secret to being successful. 10% doesn't belong to you. You have to give that back to your community. You have to give that back to missions or whatever that you feel that you and your vertical relationship with your source fits best for you. So that's my advice.
I'm in awe. I think even my mom just fell in love with you. She's just like, she had the word tithe and she's just like, I died and went to heaven. Child, I've been trying to talk to you about tithing. Oh my gosh, you are such a blessing, Wangari. And and the journey continues, and we continue to expand and expound on the talent that you are, and contribute to the vision that you have. I am definitely here for that. I always said when I started this platform, every conversation starts with a glass of wine, as well as you could get, yeah, some coffee in the morning. Okay, all right. I want to say, I really want to say that you are a phenomenal woman. You are somebody who I really, you're near and dear. You're that is also one who, that is a whole clique of women who are just doing astute things in society. When I started Into the Core podcast, the main aim was to highlight and to show and create opportunities for people who are out there. And
Yeah.
I really hope that I continue to tell the stories and to grow the stories and to brand the stories. And I'm just thinking like a Wamahu story and what she's doing in Lamu is going to be up next. I mean, like, I feel like I need to do an up close and personal thing with her. And that's, because of what she's doing. She's like into community. You're into community. You're about giving back. You're about elevating. So I'm so blessed and so thankful that you said yes to being part of this podcast.
Yes. I thank you so much for having me. I was your number one fan.
Well, I'm your number one, and it doesn't end there. And next time I need to make sure that Paul is there so that we could get like a full-on concert. Why don't I organize an end year something? Anyway, we'll be right back to you. I'm coming back. I'm going to do something. I think something beautiful has to be done. So
I think it's very doable. You have everything you need. All you have to do is just ask.
I know, I'm here for you, babes. And I love you. Thank you.
And, I'd like to also give a shout out to you for everything that we are also working together. And I'm really excited to have you on board. And thank you to everybody for your questions and comments, and for Into the Core for having me. And
thank you. All right. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. And
no, I was just going to say I didn't put any links, but if people want to learn more, they can reach out to you about the upcoming album and that kind of detail. And also follow us on Wangari Fahari. You can learn more as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, Mama. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. And okay, so everybody, thank you so much. Please keep it here. More content, more amazing people are going to be featured. I know that we're going through crazy times. Looks like a couple of things are pending, waiting in the background, especially when it comes to this whole pandemic. But make sure that you keep yourself safe. Make sure that you're in safe environments. Keep the social distancing, and just make sure, wash your hands, sanitize, and keep safe. We look forward to seeing you next week, Friday. It could be Wednesday, it could be Friday. I don't know. It depends on my guest, but next week for sure, I will see you soon. Sending you love. Thank you. Asante. Thank you to Trademark for hosting me today. Thank you.